Alright everybody, how's it going? If you're new here, welcome. Today we'll be checking out the FIFINE M9 wireless lavalier microphone set. This little guy, you can pop them out, you can put them on your camera, your PC, your phone, whatever you want it to do. We will be testing that out here with the PC here later on in the video, and we will be showing off everything that it comes with. Again, connects to everything, that as long as it can connect with a wire, you can do it. So we'll check them out, see how it sounds, how they work. We'll go over the specs and details and everything about it, and of course, the price. So guys, sit back, relax, and let's hop straight into it. Alright, here we are, the FIFINE M9 wireless lavalier microphone system for video broadcast and streaming, of course. We do have the specs here on the back, what it comes with in the box, which is a bunch of the cables. We do have some windbreakers, or dead cats as they may be called. And of course, we'll be checking out what everything looks like. But before we do, let's go ahead and talk about those specs that we were looking at. I want to start off with the microphone currently on their website is $72.99, and on Amazon you can pick it up for about the same, currently at $65, but that's coming up around Black Friday at this point, so could be more, could be less, depending on the sale that's going on. We do have the transmitter, the microphone itself, which is going to be omnidirectional, 20 to 20,000 hertz. We do have 110 decibels for the maximum yelling capabilities of this thing. We do have the bit depth and the sample rate of 16-bit and 48,000 kilohertz. It does have a 150 milliamp hour battery, rechargeable battery that's inside these things. You can use it for about 6 hours. The charge time is about an hour and a half, so not too bad on that one. The weight of these things supposedly is 17.6 grams. We'll check that out later in the video. It does have the 3.5 millimeter out. If you want to use it. Next, we have the receiver. We do have the 3.5 millimeter out for the cables to plug into whatever device you want to plug it into. That itself has a 280 milliamp hour battery. It's about 12 hours of use. It does have a 1.5 hour charge time for it. It does say it's 25 grams. Again, we'll check that later. The charging case itself has 1200 milliamp hours. And that is a 5-volt, 500 milliamp. Now, that's going to be really hard to find a charger that is 500 milliamps. So, the smallest one, so if you have an old, crappy iPhone charger that's 1 amp, that should be okay. As far as you just don't want to go super far past that, because you can then damage the battery. But usually, you know, doubling it is not bad in the small terms. But definitely be careful with that. But if you can, you know, plug it into a computer, that should be a solid 1 amp, so that should be okay. Now, that weight is going to be 105.6 grams. Again, we'll verify that. Charge time for the whole thing is going to be about 2.5 hours. So again, not too bad for what it can do. And since it can charge everything else at an hour and a half, not bad. It does use 2.4 gigahertz for the transmission. It says 50 meters, but that's going to be line of sight. So no obstructions, no nothing. So probably expect that to be a little bit less unless you're going to be on a football field. You're probably not going to be getting that kind of range. One key feature to note of the microphones, though, on the specs is mono versus stereo for the mics. You definitely want to make sure that you leave these in mono, because then you can adjust it later if you want to have dual for the audio, or you can just clone it and do it that way. Or if you have both microphones activated, you can do one on each ear, or left or right. And so then if you want to duplicate them or have them on both sides, you can do that. If you have it in stereo mode, you're going to get both in both ears, and depending on if someone's louder than the other, you really got to test out with the volumes there. Definitely do recommend left-right channels, because then you can separate them and manipulate them as you need. But if you guys are enjoying the video, don't forget to subscribe. We got a lot more details coming up later in this video, so do appreciate it if you hit the like button here and go ahead and subscribe, because that could change my life. The more you guys that do that, the more we can do this, and the more that we do this, the more fun we're going to be having. So do appreciate that, and back to the main video. All right, so let's go ahead and get this out of the box here so we can see just what we're working with here. I love the manual is right on top. Just sitting right there ready for us. We're going to go ahead and check that out here in just a bit. And everything is just nicely packaged in the case. So the box just has the case inside of it. So we'll check out the manual here first. Not my favorite, FIFINE. Not my favorite. It's a roadmap. It does have a lot of really great illustrations, and I can see why that would be probably really hard to put on smaller pages because they do overlap the folds, but that's okay. Now here's all the specs here. We do have the what each piece does with all the buttons for what the functions are, the LED indications for low power, charging, pairing, and what each of those are as far as what gets turned on for that stereo mode, mono mode, as I mentioned earlier. Definitely pause here. This is just to showcase and document the manual. So if you guys need any bits of this information, so please pause and be able to zoom in and check out anything out. This shows off the different cables because there are very specific cables, one for phone and one for the camera for the different rails that they have, because you do need 3 for the camera and 4 for phones. So definitely not a great looking manual, but I just wish it was some sort of booklet because that just makes life a whole lot easier. Now let's go ahead and get into the case. We do have the mics here inside their own case. And it looks good. It's got a nice little design on it. It shimmers with the light. Do have that USB-C here on the back, which is great. Love to see things at this point should be all USB-C. If you see a micro B, we have a problem. Inside of here, left and right, we have the microphones, and in the center, we do have the receiver. Of course, I mean, you gotta love the little smiley face, dude. Gotta love him. Microphone there on top. You have the power button on the side, and then we have the linking and the active noise canceling that you can turn on for the microphone itself independently per mic. So it does look good. And of course, right there on top, we can put one of these windbreakers on it. We'll check that out here in just a minute. We do have the receiver here. Looking good. We have the information on the side. That's the mono and stereo button, the linking button for them if they ever do come unlinked. We do have the A and B, where we can adjust the volumes for each of the microphones. Now, let's go ahead and get these windbreakers out, or as some people in the film industry may call them, dead cats. These are nice. They're super fuzzy, and they block out a lot of the P's and the T's and breaking those things up. Now, these are specific, obviously, to these mics because they do have just a little rubber tip that goes around the little cylindrical microphone on top. You can kind of fluff it up. Keeps a lot of the wind noise out, the P's, the T's, and makes it actually sound like it should instead of blowing out the mic because it's too close. Also, if you look at it with the dude little smiley face, I mean, it looks like he's got some funky hair, which is just funny. Of course, you can't have it on if you put it in the case. You do have to take it off. You can't just keep them on there. Here in the back, we do have the USB-A to USB-C. It's not a super long charge cable, but it definitely is a long enough one to go ahead and do the job. It's not a mini one, but it's not a normal length one. Here in the back, this is where we have all these fancy cables. Now, there are 2 3.5 millimeter cables. Now, you got to make sure you got to count the rings if you want to make sure which one you're using, because one will be for smartphones and one will be just for the camera. Now, of course, we do have this other one that is going to be for USB-C, so phones that don't have headphone jacks, because that's apparently a common thing nowadays, because whatever, wish they would keep them. But if you do have a USB-C, this is going to be for iPhone and Android now, since iPhone 15s have USB-C. Plug that in to be good. Now, we're going to go ahead and take off these little covers here on the bottom and get that blue off of there. But you can see the little puck down there on the bottom. It is a USB-C. And then we also have the little gold pins. So USB-C, if you need to, you can go ahead and charge it that way. Or you could just drop it into the case and be able to use that. So you can go ahead and get charges going if you need to. Nothing too crazy. And again, but more preferably, you want to drop it into the case. Now, once you drop the stuff in, whether it's the microphone or the receiver, it will automatically turn off. and then you'll start to see that they're charging. So everything will just kind of start blinking if it needs to, and just be like, hey, we're charging. Of course, we have the little LEDs on the front, and that's pretty much it. All right, so next we're going to be going into the mic testing. We're going to check out these little dudes, see how they sound. We're going to start with the basic, no noise cancellation at all. We're just going to go with the raw sound coming out of this thing. Next, we'll do the active noise canceling that is on the side that you can turn on. And then we're going to go into the best case scenario studio-wise, say a streaming setup. You will then be able to run it through SteelSeries Sonar. If you guys want to check out how to do that, you guys can check the card up here at the top and get SteelSeries downloaded and set up. But we will check that out, and then also do both with and without the noise cancellation with the extra fidelity being brought back in. So let's go ahead and check that out. All right, and here's just default. I have it running through my camera at a -4 decibels, so it's bringing it down just a little bit. But I've just got it clipped on right here. It is a little heavy because it is pulling down the shirt, but not too bad. You can clip that anywhere. But yeah, this is the raw, unedited, no modifications, no nothing. Now we will turn on the noise canceling here. So now this is with the noise canceling turned on. It's a little robotic-y. Again, I think it's overcompensating there quite a bit. Not really quite sure what this is going for. I'll put it in the comments down below if I get some more info from FIFINE about it. It's just, it is what it is. This is exactly what it's sounding like in a, best case scenario, going through the camera and just getting straight to you. All right, now we're over to the SteelSeries side. This is with no noise canceling. This is just bringing the lows back up. And so it actually sounds really good. I mean, if you were just doing this for a wireless system, would be great. Even for streaming, this sounds honestly pretty good. So definitely something to keep in mind. Now we're going to see what happens when we turn on that noise canceling. And now with noise canceling turned on, this is what you're looking to hear. Now again, the optimization for this may be a little weird. This is maybe an outdoor thing that you might want to do. It's just not really a use case indoors, I don't think, for just normal everyday use. It just sounds extremely weird, and I'm sure, it's going to sound even weirder once you throw a SteelSeries on it when it's trying to compensate for things. So we're just going to go ahead and turn that back off. So this is what you're expected to hear with no SteelSeries when just out in the field with the camera. And then if you are in a production environment like we're doing here, you can add a little bit more onto it, and it sounds really great. So definitely something that I would definitely recommend, especially since this thing has so many hours of usage. 6 hours. You could absolutely do a stream, wear this thing, and not have to worry about having this guy in your frame or anything else. You could just get up and walk away. I mean, I can just scoot back and, move around, and nothing changes. So do keep that in mind, and let's go ahead and head back to the main video and finish her up. All right, now let's go ahead and go into the weight here. We're going to double check those numbers we talked about earlier to see just where they land as far as how accurate we are. So go ahead and get this guy turned on, and let's go ahead and see how the weight shows. Now the receiver is 17.1, which they said 17.6, so it's actually a little less. This is fully charged. The receiver they had at 25 grams, and it's just below that at 24.3. Now the whole case with everything in it, they had at 105, so it's 150. So that's actually a little bit more. Now with everything together, it's going to be 286.9. It's not too bad altogether. So everything else seems to be lighter, but the case itself seems to be a lot heavier, just by, not a little, but definitely a little bit. So they'll be able to update that, but definitely checking out the weight. That's the only thing that comes out a little bit heavier, but that's a charging case, and so you shouldn't be lugging that around for it, so that's okay. Next, we will be going into the sound meter, and we're going to check out each and every button and see just how loud they are. We're going to go ahead and start out with the mic itself. My room noise is about 42, because everything got some loud noises going on, but we're seeing about 53, close to 54, a couple clicks, down at 49. It's not too terrible, just about 10 to 15 bumps, as we have my extra loud room noises. The receiver, though, is a little bit quieter and is only going up by 3, 4, maybe 5 extra decibels. So super quiet. Definitely great. Now, clicking it in, definitely if you just drop them in, you're going to be going up quite a bit on those decibel levels. But you do have to make sure that you're just keeping an eye on that and just not dropping that while you're recording. But guys, thank you so much for watching. Do appreciate FIFINE for seeing this over to be checked out. Love these little dudes. Love the smile. It's always a good time with them. You guys can check out them with the link down in the description. If you guys want to go check them out on Amazon or go over to their website, I'll have links to both down there. And of course, guys, don't forget to check out all the links for my socials and website for amaster15.com, where you can find me and all my other stuff. And do appreciate it. These things are great. Awesome. Sounds pretty good. We got to see it with StillSeries, which does enhance the fidelity quite a bit. And then we also just got to hear it, raw dogging it, no post-processing. Now, the noise cancellation on it, not great. Now, that could just be depending on what it's overcompensating for. It could be very specific. So, in general, very controlled environments, it sounds a little weird. Now, if you're outside and you have a lot of activity, a lot of noise, that could be more helpful. So, I'm doing this in a optimal setting, and I think it might have been just overcompensating. So that might be something that maybe they could address later in a revision 2. Maybe have 2 different modes where they could have like an indoor mode and an outdoor mode. Would be fantastic to see. But we'll see how that goes. So we'll see what happens if there's another revision to the M9 V2 coming up, maybe. We'll see. If I do find anything out, maybe something from FIFINE, I might have that down in the comments down below. So check that out and see if there is a comment there. I'll pin it. But we'll see if they make those modifications. But guys, thank you so much for watching. Do appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe and like to the video if you made it this far. Do appreciate it. You're a champ. And let me know if you've made it here. Feel free to say howdy do down in the comments if you guys get to this point. So do appreciate it. And until the next one, you guys have a great evening or morning wherever you guys are. And I'll see you on the next one.